It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Tendrils of fog curl around the freshly buried grave. A gnarled hand bursts from the ground, clawing and tearing at the dirt. Its reanimated corpse follows, emerging from the now hollow tomb. It stumbles, readying itself to search for its prey. Suddenly, Buffy Summers jumps in the frame, punching and kicking and doing what she does best, slaying. With a swift jab to the heart with a wooden stake, the vampire erupts into dust. Buffy brushes off her jeans and heads home to finish her homework. She wants nothing more than to be a normal teenage girl, but she is cursed with the duties of being the Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, is not only award-winning, it is also culturally influential as well as relatable to those of all ages. Buffy the Vampire Slayer has been nominated for multiple awards in various categories and was created by Oscar-nominated writer Joss Whedon. The show was nominated for 14 Primetime Emmy Awards and has won 2 of those. It has been nominated for Emmys in categories like Outstanding Makeup, Outstanding Hairstyling, Outstanding Sound Editing, among others. And Joss Whedon was nominated for an Oscar for his writing in the movie Toy Story. He created Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he formulated the idea, and eventually he made a movie in 1992, which was a major flop. And then, dissatisfied with that, he created the TV show in 1997, which quickly gained a cult following. So not only did he create the show, he also wrote and directed many of the episodes. In addition, Buffy the Vampire Slayer influenced today's culture. The way we speak today has been largely influenced by the show. So, for example, I don't know about you guys, but I use sarcasm a lot. And sometimes we might use proper nouns as verbs or adjectives, and I'll specify more on that later. But in a quote from Slayer Slang, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer lexicon, author Michael Adams states that the writers acknowledge that slang increasingly trades on references to popular culture by shifting proper names into other parts of speech, both verbs and adjectives. So I don't think you guys will understand the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reference, so I'll try to do a modern equivalent for you. So if I were to say something like, I Taylor Swifted my ex-boyfriend, what does that mean to you guys? Shout out some answers.
Wrote a song about him.
Exactly, yeah, wrote a song about it. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer largely influenced that part of our language today. It also featured the first long-term lesbian relationship on U.S. television. And while today we're more accustomed to, the LGBT community in the media, like on Modern Family, for example, this was very radical in 1997 and the early 2000s. The show also helped introduce the mainstream trend of feminism and awareness of misogyny. In Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a lot of the main villains will be very misogynistic and they don't believe in the power of women and, et cetera, while Buffy is a short little blonde girl who can still kick your ass. So the show kind of helped introduce that. In a Time magazine article, author Belafonte stated that producers of this show understand that preachiness lures no one. Says Joss Whedon, creator of the Buffy movie and series and a former writer on Roseanne, if I can make teenage boys comfortable with a girl who takes charge of a situation without their knowing that's what's happening, it's better than sitting them down and selling them on feminism. So while the show is subtle and it doesn't explicitly talk about feminism, it's still a very feminist show. Lastly, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is relatable to viewers of all ages. It has a lot of metaphors for a lot of problems that we will face throughout our lives. One of the most important might be its metaphor for substance abuse. For example, one of the main characters, Willow, becomes a witch, and she becomes addicted to a certain kind of dark magic. And she eventually goes to a rehabilitation center, and it's very healthily dealt with and everything, and she ends up okay in the end. But I think it's very important that the show showcased that. In addition, one of Buffy's ex-boyfriends, Riley, becomes addicted to having vampires suck his blood, which is not so much a reference to drugs as much as a reference to an addiction of maybe another kind, but still, an important metaphor. And not only did the show feature a gay couple, it also had a metaphor for sexuality. So when Buffy came out to her mom as being the Slayer, her mom asked her, well, have you tried not being the Slayer? And that's something that people will often ask those who come out as LGBT, and that's just not really how it works. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer has not only won countless awards, it has also influenced today's culture as well as connected to viewers of all ages. I hope you all learned something today about a lesser known show that had an indisputable impact on today's society.